Chris from Hockey Tutorial, I think, here, and today we're going to be reviewing or redoing a lot of the tutorials that we filmed from back in the day. So what's the first one? What are we working on?
So now we're going to go through snapshots and the full technique of it, how today's players use the snapshot and why it's such an effective way of shooting the puck, and why we translate more and more into speed than having a powerful shot.
There we go.
Yep.
The new Hockey Tutorial custom jersey design has been confirmed, and this will be the design that you see both me and Tommy rocking for 2025. Now, this custom design is already available on the store. Some of you have already picked it up, and of course, if you want to pick up any of our other merch, including the I Am Hockey hoodies and also sweatshirts, the Stick Curve t-shirts and hats, the link will be available down below.
So we're breaking down these shots into 4 movements. These 4 key movements will get us a better understanding of what we're actually doing when we're taking the shot. So first off is positioning and stance, how we hold the stick, how we want our feet to be. The second movement is loading the shot, and this is where we gather energy and pull the power into our body. Third movement is pull through, and that's where we take the power we've gathered in the load up and then pull through the stick, and that's where we get the flex. Then the last movement, the fourth, is called the release, and that's where we push the flex out of the stick and out in the puck. And I've analyzed a lot of shots during the days, and what I see with most NHL players is that we're not always going to get the best load up, we're not always going to get the best pull through, but what needs to be perfect 10 out of 10 times is the release, because that's where we're actually getting the flex out in power in the puck. And that's where we're aiming and directing where we want the puck to go. Starting off, when we're taking a snapshot, this shot is more about speed than pushing in the movement so much. When we hold the stick, we want to have a really narrow grip, but not too narrow, so the hand slips in on the inside of the elbow here, because then we will start shooting from the outside of our body instead of pushing in and then out. So about shoulder width between your hands, and this will generate much more speed in the blade when we snap later on in the movement, comparing to if I hold down here, it'll go really slowly. And also it's hard to get your hands in front of your body and really aim the shot here. If I hold further up, I can get the full stick in front of me, and it's easier to aim with the toe of the blade. Something else I've talked about a lot in the previous videos we did here on the channel is having your pinky finger on the top of your knob. And this is really crucial when we're gonna flex the stick later on, because if I'm holding with my whole palm around the shaft here, when I'm gonna flex, my wrist is gonna turn to the side like this, and my elbow goes to the side here, and I will rotate more on the side of me than being able to rotate upwards and actually get the flex into the stick. So that's why I switched the grip with the pinky on top. Now you will see that the wrist is a lot more towards the net, and my rotation will go more upwards, and I will have a lot more control in the blade when I'm shooting. When we're taking a snapshot, we can do it wherever we want on the ice with whatever stance we have. And this is what's really effective about this shot, is that you can get it off in uncomfortable situations. So there's 2 ways you can practice this at home. It's either a one-legged stance, either being on your forehand side leg or your opposite leg. We want to shoot down both feet. Or we can stand with both legs in the ice with the weight more a little bit shifted on the left leg here for me as a righty. This is just to have an easier time opening up our body for the shot and then getting the flex in later when we're gonna get to the pull through movement. So either stand like this or on one leg. Next thing with the loading phase is loading your shoulders. So when we're taking a shot, we want a snapping motion, almost like a whip. And this is what we generate up here. And this is why we can take the shots in uncomfortable situations, because even if I'm out on my front leg, have the puck in front of me, I can still snap my shoulders and get a pretty powerful shot off. I'll show you guys in a bit. But if we're not loading the shoulders enough, we're never gonna get a good snap in the shot. And this is something you can look for at home when you start practicing this snapshot. If you're not getting a good snap in the puck, it's probably because you're not loading your shoulders enough or being quick enough with them. And remember this, the lower our kick gets, the quicker we need to be with our shoulders. So if you're playing with an ultra low kick, you need to be really fast to match your stick. starting off, when we're loading the shot, we don't want to put a lot of pressure in the blade into the ice. We want the pressure out on the toe, because this is where we're gonna flex the stick the most, because we're basically bending it on the edges. This is also another reason with the pinky finger, we get to flex the stick a lot more because we're holding more on the end. Then, when we're loading, we want to drastically change the pressure and increase it the more we get into the loading phase. So I'm really lightening my blade out here, and when I pull in, I get more and more friction into the blade. When we're loading in here, we want to pull the lower elbow up to the hip, and then the upper elbow forward and up towards the net. And this is so when I later rotate, I can use this elbow and launch it out with the hip here, helping it. It's gonna be easier to shift our body weight into this lower arm too. And this upper arm with the elbow and shoulder getting it more in front of you is gonna help us to rotate more upwards, which we want to get the flex into the stick easier. Why is it different with the sticks? Basically, the lower the kick gets, the quicker the stick is. That's why everybody wants to play with low kick nowadays, because we get a quicker release off the stick. But if you're not aware of this, it's gonna be really hard to do the right way. If you go from let's say a FD8 and then moving down to a CCM Vision, it's gonna be a big difference in the way you shoot. So a lot of players think that the stick is bad, but it's basically in most of the times that you're not aware of how you're supposed to use the tool. How do we load the shoulders the right way? The upper shoulder, we want to pull towards the net, getting it forward. The lower shoulder, we want to pull back. And here, we want to whip this front shoulder before we whip this lower shoulder. I'll go in on this more in the pull through now, but we don't want to press in the shoulder rotation. So we're not going to load up here and then try to push through with a lot of strength, because that's where we get slow. We want a lot of tension in this upper shoulder and upper arm, but this lower arm, we want to be a bit more loose so we can get more explosive, almost like boxing. So if I'm stiff here, I'm really slow with the arm, but if I relax, I bounce out, and it's going to go quicker, and we're going to get a quicker and harder shot. So I'm pulling the shoulders up and then snapping over. Shoulders up, snap. So finding the right angle in the shaft. When we get to the loading phase and pull the elbows up here, we want to find almost like an X line with this lower arm heading towards the ice and the stick. So this varies a lot depending on how stiff your stick is. If you play with a stiffer stick, it's gonna get more and more like a plus sign than an X. But if you have a pretty whippy stick, we want to aim for this X shape. And that's another thing you can try at home. If you're not shooting good with your stick like this, it's probably too stiff. It's time to get a softer stick with more whip in it. Third stage, pull through. So now when we loaded the shoulders and we get this whipping motion, we want to translate it into the full rotation with our body. So the front shoulder whips back first, and it's essentially because if I'm not pulling this top hand back and I try to press down here, I'm not gonna get any flex in the stick. I'm just gonna let this hand slip out. And this is something that happens to a lot of players when I do shooting analysis. They often let this top hand slip out and they lose a lot of flex from it. Both from pushing and getting a smaller movement to get flex in, but also that they start flexing further away from their body where they have to use their strength and can't use the technique as good. So we whip the shoulders and I pull this upper shoulder back first, which then punches out this lower shoulder, and I give a help with the push, with the elbow here, with the hip. So I whip back and the hip helps me to put my body weight into this lower hand down here. Then when we let this lower hand punch out, we translate and rotate with our whole torso and our whole hip to get the stick through our body as quickly as possible. And this is essentially where we hit the puck. So when we hit the puck here, we want to hit it with a closed blade, somewhere in line with this front foot. This depends on what stick you're using and what kick point you have. The same with how stiff the stick is. But somewhere around here in the middle of the front foot. So I hit the puck with a closed blade, and this is so the flex stays in the stick. As soon as the blade goes open, the flex slips out. And then when we hit the puck here, we have something called a heel slip. So when I'm hitting the puck, pushing in here, the less this heel slips forward when I make impact with the puck, the faster our release gets, and it's also gonna get more snappy when we're shooting as well. To get this heel to slip forward as little as possible, we need to help with this top hand. That's why we tuck this wrist in when we're shooting, to get a more closed blade. You can see that the heel slips backwards. And this is basically a battle between my top hand and lower hand. So I punch in with my lower hand as much as I can, but then the more power I put down here, the more I need to tuck this top wrist in so I don't let the heel slip forward as much. And then when I release the flex, the toe will just bounce forward. Pushing in, a little heel slip, and then the toe bounces forward. All from the wrists. The fourth and final stage, the release. This is where we push all of the power out of the stick and into the puck, and this is where we also aim. The most crucial part, really. And this also is connected to the pull through. So when we punch the heel in here, and now when I get to the release, I want to tuck this top hand inwards and pull the hand into my hip. And you see that will steer the toe towards the net, where I want the puck to go. And this lower hand, we want to rotate the thumb towards where we're aiming as well. And you'll see that this thumb and toe is connected. So when I get to the pull through here, we aim with this lower thumb, and then when I release out, we aim out to the toe of the blade. So I push this hand in, then rotate the thumb towards the net, get this elbow out to the side, and punch the shoulder out and extend it fully. When we're punching in here with this lower arm, I can even have an open palm here. I don't even need to grip the stick. Just from me having a good torque from this top hand, I just need a relatively good punch and a good contact with the puck, and it's still gonna turn out a pretty great shot. So open palm here, snapping in. Puck is still going straight, and it's still powerful. If you want more tips and tricks like this, make sure to do a shooting analysis on our website. It's gonna be the best thing you'll ever do to your shot. And if you want more videos like this, just leave a suggestion down below if you want me to break down one-timer, slap shot, backhand shots, whatever. And thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, and see you in the next one. Bye. You reek of liquor. You smell like a fucking drunk.
What are you doing? I can't even talk.